Atlanta has seen its fair share of scandals, but this one was different. The glamorous, chaotic world of reality TV suddenly collided with a real-life crime, leaving one of the city's most recognizable families in the middle of a nightmare. At the heart of it all were Kirk and Rasheeda Frost, the couple made famous by Love and Hip Hop. Atlanta. They'd built their brand by turning personal drama into entertainment, creating businesses, and sharing picture-perfect moments online. But this time, there was no script, no network edit, just headlines, police reports, and court dates. Their son, seen by many as the future of the Frost name, had been arrested in connection with the death of rapper T Hood. Not gossip, not speculation, an actual arrest with charges filed. It was the kind of scandal that could leave a permanent mark on the family's name. The questions came instantly and from every direction. Was this a case of protecting someone in danger? Or was it a reckless act? Had the Frosts been so caught up in fame that they missed the warning signs at home? And now that the cameras were gone, what truths would come out? In a city often called the Hollywood of the South, where music, luxury cars, and celebrity drama are part of daily life, people were used to scandals, but nothing prepared them for the collapse of the Frost family's carefully crafted image. For years, Kirk and Rasheeda had made their messiness marketable. Kirk was infamous for cheating scandals. Rasheeda grew her boutique business while clapping back at critics online. Their relationship was messy, but fans stuck by them, turning their ups and downs into part of their charm. But this wasn't a VH1 plot twist. It was real, raw, and devastating. Their eldest son, Kai Frost, had been arrested for T Hood's death. That single word, arrested, hit like a bombshell, the kind of headline that doesn't fade easily. The Frosts had weathered storms before. Kirk had been dragged online for infidelity. Rasheeda had been criticized for chasing business ventures during rocky points in her marriage. They'd survived rumors, public breakups, and social media battles, but this was different. This wasn't about relationship drama or PR spin. This was about life and death, and everyone wanted to know how things spiraled this far. It all began on the night of August 8th, 2025, in Georgia's heavy summer heat. Inside the Frost home, things escalated fast. Family insiders, those who can't help but share updates on Facebook, claimed there were raised voices, heated arguments, and a growing sense of hostility. At the center of it was Kelsey Frost, Kai's half-sister, and 33-year-old rapper Tevin Hood, known to the public as T Hood. Their tension had been building for weeks. Some blamed money disputes, others pointed to jealousy, and some hinted at something more personal. Whatever the cause, that night it boiled over. Neighbors later told police the shouting was so loud they could hear it from the street. One even described it as sounding like a war zone. Then things got physical. By the time it calmed down, Kelsey had visible injuries. That's when Kai arrived home. He hadn't been there at the start of the fight, but he walked straight into chaos. His sister hurt, T Hood still present. From there, everything moved quickly. According to a mix of police records, witness accounts, and endless online theories, Kai pulled out a gun. Shots were fired, and T Hood ended up dead. The twist that kept the story alive was Kai's claim of self-defense. He told police he acted because T Hood posed a threat, but there was one major problem. When police searched, they didn't find any weapon on T Hood. No gun, no knife, nothing. That missing weapon became the centerpiece of the case. Did it ever exist? Was it removed before police arrived? Or was Kai lying to cover something up? Witness statements clashed. Some swore they saw T Hood armed, others insisted he was unarmed. Investigators searched surveillance videos, combed through phone records, and even checked footage from neighbors' Ring cameras. But instead of giving clear answers, each new detail raised more uncertainty. Meanwhile, social media turned the case into a frenzy. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok filled with debates. Some people praised Kai as a hero who stepped in to protect his sister. Hours later, Kelsey posted an emotional Instagram video defending him, saying through tears, "He saved my life. If Kai hadn't been there, I don't know what would have happened." Her statement sparked an even bigger wave of opinions. Supporters rallied around her, while critics accused her of trying to cover for him. And soon, the backlash spread to Kirk and Rasheeda. Just days before, Rasheeda had been happily promoting her boutique. Now her posts were flooded with harsh comments. "How could this happen under your roof? Where were you when your son needed guidance?" Normally quick to clap back at negativity, she went completely silent online. Kirk faced similar attacks, with many calling him a failed father who put fame before family. But there was one surprising detail. Kai didn't try to run. He stayed at the scene, handed over his weapon, and fully cooperated with police. He repeated his self-defense claim multiple times. Even with his cooperation, the uncertainty only grew. Witnesses contradicted each other, timelines didn't match, and the question of the missing weapon refused to go away. This wasn't just about what happened in those tense moments. It was about the Frost family's future. Their public image, their brand, and their reputation were now at stake. Once a mugshot hits the internet, There's no returning to carefully staged Instagram posts or lighthearted TV episodes. This was far messier, and the kind of story that could change the way people remember them forever. And for the Frosts, this was only the start. Atlanta couldn't stop talking. The news about Kirk and Rasheeda's son being taken into custody was everywhere, spreading across social media and news outlets within hours. At first, it seemed like an open and shut story, another headline in a city used to drama. But as more details surfaced, it became clear this wasn't just about a family in crisis. It was shaping up to be one of the most chaotic and talked about situations the hip-hop world had seen in years. And everyone wanted to know, how did someone who grew up in the public eye with fame and opportunity all around him end up accused in the death of a rising rapper? To get the full picture, you have to go back to the night it all happened. T-Hood, the rapper whose life was cut short, had been performing at a small venue in East Atlanta. The atmosphere early in the night was exactly what you'd expect. Music pumping, drinks flowing, a crowd enjoying themselves. But things changed when the Frost name entered the mix. Backstage, an argument reportedly broke out. Witnesses said voices rose quickly, phones were whipped out to record, and the energy shifted from celebratory to tense. One witness described the moment as a rapid descent into chaos. They were arguing, then someone threw a punch, and before anyone could react, shots went off. People were screaming and running for the door. It didn't take long for Kai Frost's name to come up. Reports began linking him directly to the fight, and soon, security footage and multiple witness accounts appeared to place him right in the middle of it all. Within hours, police had brought him in for questioning. The public's reaction was instant and intense. On social media, disbelief poured in. One post read, "No way Kirk and Rasheeda's son is involved in this." Another said, "We literally watched this kid grow up on TV. How did it get to this point?" What began as shock quickly turned into a mix of heartbreak, outrage, and curiosity. For years, the Frost family had been a staple on reality TV. Viewers were used to seeing them navigate relationship drama, business ventures, and public scandals. But this was on a different level entirely. By the time Kai's arrest was confirmed, his name was trending across platforms. Bloggers streamed live updates, YouTubers posted analysis videos, and news outlets kept the story on rotation. Some people insisted he'd simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Others were convinced it was the result of the family's history of messy public feuds catching up with them. Throughout the media storm, Kirk and Rasheeda stayed completely silent. For a couple who had built their careers by letting the public into their lives, their lack of response was striking. Those close to the family said they were reeling, barely able to process what was happening. Kirk wasn't new to controversy. Rumors of cheating, surprise children, and televised fights had followed him for years, but this was different. This wasn't entertainment news. It was a criminal investigation, and his son was at the center of it. Prosecutors moved quickly, and soon words like felony, weapon possession, and manslaughter were appearing in official reports. Then came Kai's mugshot. Within minutes of its release, it was everywhere. Reposted with captions like, "This can't be real," and Love and Hip Hop just turned into Law and Order. Adding weight to the situation was the fact that T-Hood wasn't just another local performer. He was gaining serious traction in Atlanta's music scene, collaborating with emerging artists and building a fan base of his own. His death shook the community. At his memorial, people played his music loud, wore t-shirts with his image, and called for justice. The moment Kai's name was tied to the case, emotions flared even hotter. Some accused the Frost family of using their fame to shield him, though police maintained they were treating the investigation the same as any other. Gossip sites, always ready to pounce, dug through old Love and Hip Hop footage and pulled out moments where Kirk and Rasheeda had lectured their kids about making smart choices. Those clips went viral again, but now they were used as memes or punchlines with comments like, "Guess that advice didn't stick." Others mocked Kirk, suggesting his son was simply repeating his history of poor decisions. But not everyone believed the story as it was being told online. Friends and supporters claimed Kai hadn't started the fight at all. According to them, he was trying to break it up when the shooting happened and somehow got caught in the middle of the chaos. If their version of events is true, it could dramatically change how the case is seen in court. Still, the prosecution appeared to be building a strong case. The public wasn't waiting for a verdict. Opinions had already formed, and the Frost family's reputation was caught in the crossfire. People seemed split into two camps. One side wanted Kai locked up for life, convinced he was guilty. The other side believed he was being unfairly targeted and deserved to be released immediately. And hanging over all of this was the question of what would happen to the Frost brand. Rasheeda had worked for years to shape her image as a savvy businesswoman and style icon, turning her pressed boutique into a go-to spot for fans and celebrities alike. Now, critics were questioning how she could promote family values and empowerment when her own household was facing such a serious crisis. Even the entertainment industry was watching closely. The network behind Love and Hip Hop had built its success on messy personal drama. But this was on another level. This wasn't about cheating rumors or petty feuds. This was a homicide investigation. Some insiders whispered that cameras might already be rolling to capture the family's response, with plans to air it later. Whether that would lead to record-breaking ratings or massive backlash was anyone's guess. As court dates drew closer, the pressure on the Frosts only grew. Every decision they made could have lasting consequences, not just for Kai's case, but for their careers, their businesses, and their place in the public eye. Fans who once admired Rasheeda for bouncing back from scandal and even forgave Kirk's repeated mistakes were now wondering if this was a situation the family could survive at all. Affairs fade from memory, and online feuds eventually get replaced by the next trending topic. But being tied to the death of a beloved figure in the city's music scene, that kind of stain doesn't wash away easily. In Atlanta, the reactions were just as divided as the online world. Some locals shrugged it off as another chapter in the city's long and complicated history with hip-hop violence. Others saw it as proof that wealth and fame can't shield anyone from real consequences. What began as a heated argument in a dimly lit club had spiraled into a national headline. The Frost name, once associated with catchy TV moments and stylish branding, was now entangled in a story that could end with either vindication or total ruin. And as each new detail emerged, one thing became clearer. The outcome, whatever it may be, would follow them forever. The story had gone far beyond gossip blogs and fan chatter. Everyone was paying attention. Other reality TV stars, music insiders, critics, and major voices in the hip-hop community were all weighing in. Every small update added more fuel to an already intense fire, turning this into one of the biggest controversies Atlanta's rap scene and the love and hip-hop franchise had ever seen. Part of the shock came from the people involved. For years, Kirk and Rasheeda had been viewed as one of the more solid couples on reality TV. They'd weathered scandals, faced public scrutiny, and always seemed to find a way back to each other. Many viewers admired how they kept pushing forward despite the drama. That's why seeing their son tied to something this serious felt so devastating for longtime fans. Atlanta itself seemed to be holding its breath. Conversations about the case cropped up in barbershops, recording studios, and clubs. In a city still healing from the loss of so many young artists, this hit hard. Another life gone, and this time, the Frost family name was attached to it. Those close to Kirk said he had put effort into steering his son away from trouble. He gave Kai opportunities, business ventures, TV appearances, and tried to keep him clear of Atlanta's more dangerous nightlife. But as critics pointed out, growing up with reality star parents isn't always a blessing. When your life is public from day one, every choice gets magnified, every mistake becomes a headline, and there's no escaping the constant judgment. Friends described Rasheeda as devastated. People close to her claimed she cried for days, struggling to make sense of how her son ended up in such a nightmare. For years, she had managed to juggle motherhood, a marriage often in the public eye, and a growing business empire. But situations like this have no regard for branding or public image. They cut deep and leave lasting wounds. Fans who had watched the Frost since the early days of love and hip-hop now had to confront a difficult reality. This wasn't a neatly packaged TV plotline created for drama and ratings. This was real. A young rapper had lost his life, a family was in shambles, and the Frost legacy was forever marked by a tragedy that would live online for. Some argued that children grow up and make their own choices, separate from their parents. Others weren't as forgiving, accusing Kirk and Rasheeda of being more focused on maintaining a glamorous image than instilling discipline and responsibility. In the courtroom, the case was moving quickly. Prosecutors laid out their version of events, suggesting there could be a motive and possible connections to underlying tensions in the Atlanta rap scene. Fans of T-Hood rallied outside the courthouse, blasting his tracks through speakers, holding signs with his image, and chanting for justice. Some even shouted directly at the Frost family as they walked in, turning the legal process into a public spectacle. Still, the case wasn't without its uncertainties. Some believed the evidence wasn't as airtight as prosecutors claimed, that Kai was being targeted more because of his last name than because of solid proof. Others felt there was more than enough to convict him. The split in opinion only made the story more explosive. Determined to fight for their son, the Frosts brought in one of Atlanta's most respected defense teams, lawyers known for handling high-profile clients and complex criminal cases. They vowed to push back hard, reminding the public that an arrest isn't a conviction and that every defendant has the right to a fair trial. But in the world of public perception, the damage was already done. Once your name is tied to a murder case, the shadow is nearly impossible to escape, no matter the outcome. For Rasheeda, the fallout was felt even in her boutique, where customers now seemed to look at her differently. For Kirk, it meant hushed conversations at industry gatherings and cold stares from people he'd known for years. And for Kai, it meant living under a cloud that could follow him forever, whether he was found guilty or not. As the months passed, the case took unexpected turns. Witnesses changed their accounts, new information surfaced, and at times it looked like the whole case might collapse under conflicting testimony. But every twist reignited public interest. Social media was relentless, Twitter threads dissected, courtroom updates, TikTok creators posted detailed recaps, and Instagram comments turned into heated debates over whether this was justice or a case of fame twisting the story. The Frosts, once celebrated as reality TV royalty, were now living through a real-life drama far darker than anything producers could have scripted. And as the verdict drew closer, one reality became impossible to ignore. No matter what the judge or jury decided, the family would never go back to the way things were. This chapter in the Frost family's saga has left fans stunned, divided, and glued to every development. But the story is still unfolding. The next stage promises even more shocking turns, and the outcome could define the Frost legacy for decades. If you've been following every twist of this roller coaster, you know how unpredictable it's been. Stay locked in, because the next update could change everything. And now, it's over to you. What do you think truly happened that night? Is this the moment that breaks Kirk and Rasheeda for good? Or could this just be the start of something even bigger? Share your thoughts, because this conversation isn't slowing down anytime soon. When it comes to stories like this, the truth always has a way of being even wilder than anything on TV.